Welcome everyone to another live webinar session organized by KCM Connect. KCM Connect is an established organization in customized software applications on transport and logistics, and has taken active initiative in technical and skill development along with Industry Culture Connect segment. You can check on our website www.kcmconnect.com. On behalf of KCM Connect, I welcome today's esteemed speakers, Dr. Khemendra Kumar Upadhyay and Dr. Arpita Datta Sutradhar. Dr. Upadhyay, an alumnus of Institute of Rural Management, Anand, also known as IRMA, is a seasoned professional with over 3 decades of experience across government, non-for-profits, and corporate. He has pioneered several innovative successful models that exist in the development sector today, including Mother Dairy Fruits and Vegetables known as SAFAL, an integrated rural water supply sanitation project for 1,000 villages and 10 towns in Rajasthan in the name of Apni Yojana, Basta Integrated Development Project for Royal Danish Embassy and Health of the Urban Poor Program for USAID and PFI. He has been an expert with Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, was on board of National Trust, Jansthirtha Kosh, Global Compact Network. He has conducted and commissioned research studies for USAID, United Nations Development Programme, and IIED London. Dr. Upadhyay headed the FICCI Aditya Birla CSR Center for Excellence. At present, he is director with Center for Social Review, that is CSR. Our other eminent speaker of the day is Dr. Arpita Datta Sutradhar, currently specialist of development communication and inclusive models at SCORE Livelihood Foundation and working as manager of Disability Initiative and Inclusivity at Workplace at NASSCOM Foundation. She had been former visiting faculty of mass communication postgraduate at St. Xavier's College, Ranchi. She had been former director of communication, CSR and training at Archid Business Resource Private Limited. She had also worked as freelance consultant at Academics Consultancy Skill Enhancement. She was former state in charge corporate relations at Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Jharkhand chapter. And she had been program coordinator and training at Indian Institute of Management, Ranchi. Before starting the discussion, let me remind some rules of our webinar session. Webinar will last for 40 to 45 minutes, where our esteemed speakers will share their valuable ideas on the issue. Thereafter, we will take 3 questions, one after another. To ask question, please use reaction button and then write your query in chat. Moderator will then allow the participants to ask questions. I would like to request all, before asking questions, please give your introduction to the audience. Participants are not allowed to switch on audio or video during the running session. In case of any query, please use that chat window only to let moderator know your concern. I once again thank you all for participating in this live webinar. Now please welcome Dr. Upadhyay and Dr. Sutradhar to start panel discussion on CSR and role of corporates during and post-corona times and how MSMEs, startup companies can be leveraged. Dr. Upadhyay.
Thank you very much. I welcome Dr. Arpita also. We have been in chat with for a very long time. And this is a very good chance which KCM Connect has given us to talk to each other. I would like to start with a presentation. What we are discussing today is corporate social responsibility and role of corporates during and after Corona. I think, yeah. The flow of the session will be, I will like to talk about this whole spirit of corporate social responsibility, because the way the people think it, there are different type of issues which people associate with CSR. Then we'll go to the rural India, how the COVID has come in, and then relationship between corporate and civil society, and what will happen after Corona. And then we will have some question answers. When we talk about the evolution of CSR, I'm reminded that there's a saying by Nobel laureate Milton Friedman, the business of business is business. The only social responsibility of business is maximizing profit. That's how the whole thing started. And then corporate started, the company started growing in size and clout, and their role increased in society. That was the age of shareholders, when we used to take care of the shareholders. With time, what happens? We moved from shareholders to stakeholders. Stakeholders include customers, vendors, employees, and government, and others. I was with Vicky, and in our auditorium on the wall, this saying from Mahatma Gandhi is there: the industrial classes should regard themselves as trustees and servants of the poor. That's how this whole thing, Gandhi thought at that time, started. When we come to relation between companies and civil society, I will again come back to this slide. We started with profit, then we moved to philanthropy. The companies, when they started earning, they thought of giving money to the corporate, to the community which whom they worked. This is where the philanthropy started. We call it philanthropy, charity, giving a check. Then this whole thing moved to community, like say they established a factory. Around the factory, workers came, officers came, they made the education, they made for health, they took care of their livelihoods. That's where this whole concept of CSR came. Then in 2013, government came out with a legislation where we were supposed to do CSR. Then with time, it has become mandatory CSR. One aspect which I like to touch today is extreme inequality in numbers. The richest 1% own 53% of India's wealth. And if you go to 10%, it's 76%. So most of the wealth is owned by a very small population. And this has been increasing over the years. They keep on becoming richer, more rich and rich. Though we have our own standards for poverty, but still, if you see, at present also 27% of people, they live in poverty. And why corporates? Why I'm talking about corporates? Because if you see our annual budget of country, 21 paisa out of the 100 paisa comes from the corporation tax. And they contribute in other things also. That's why talking about corporates becomes very important. And we also have another situation where we have a India and a Bharat. In development sector, we always say that India is not just one which you can just say at one go what it is all about. There are poor people, there are rich people also, extremely rich people also. Rich are also growing in number. Poor are also growing in numbers. We may have decreased poverty in terms of the percentage, but in terms of numbers, it has increased. We had this, I told you, the Company Act, where clause 135 related to corporate social responsibility. And it talked about Schedule 7. We are filling these three conditions: net profit 5 crore, turnover 1,000 crore, and net worth 500 crores. Companies were supposed to do 2% of their income profit out of the income to the CSR. In 5 years, they have spent about 50,000 crores. It was very simple. It was they have to form a committee from the board of directors, make a CSR policy, approve it, allocate 2% of the money to it, implement it, monitor it, and put it on the website. So two things happen. One thing, we are talking CSR now in terms of money, spending. And second thing is in the public domain. In 2019, we used to say it's comply or explain. You do CSR. If you can't do it, explain it. That time also there was a move where government was talking about penal action, which included 3 years jail, fine up to 25 lakhs, which didn't happen, but we were busy uh, with this discussion. But at the present, at this point of time, if you see after 2019, it's comply or pay penalty. If you don't comply, you don't implement it, then you have to pay penalty for it. Now we have amendments to this. These are draft amendments which have been proposed, where they talk about international organizations getting into do CSR committee, working as per the Schedule 7, unspent going to a unspent CSR account, and more than 5 crore, they have to go for impact assessment, and it has to be part of their annual report. Display on website CSR policy projects, and if they don't spend it within a stipulated time, it will go to unspent CSR funds. It brings also to a section which has been very much in debate. It's called Section 8. It says only Section 8 companies can be implementer of the CSR projects. Earlier, it was in project mode, but trust, societies, and section, which used to be 25 earlier, now Section 8 companies can do it. Now the draft says only Section 8 companies can do it. It brings us to a very big debate, which says why private sectors work with the government and civil society. When I talk about civil society, I mean not only NGOs, but the others also. And I also just will like to refer 3 circulars which link CSR to the COVID-19. It says COVID-19 activities are included in Schedule 7 now. Companies can donate to PM Care Fund, but not to CM funds. And also companies can pay ex gratia to state disaster management. And I call it, when we discuss among our peers, we call 2 things, BC and AC. BC means before Corona, and AC fast means after Corona. When I talk about before Corona, that's where we are talking about the norm. And that's where we link communities to the corporates. That's where we have with us Arpita ji. She comes from a background of working with communities. She has been working with communities for long, and she has been in academia also. I will request Arpita ji to tell us what's really happening in rural India, because I stay in Delhi, so I know about Delhi. But what's really happening in rural India? Over to you, Arpita ji.
Thank you, Shumendra ji. I will give a very ongoing face of what is really happening in the COVID times, as I would put it. And this we cannot even put it as before Corona or after Corona. So we are very much in the present times. What we have seen, I mean, we did a study of all the migrants coming back from cities to the to the states, to the towns and districts. So I am basically from Ranchi, and what I see is that in the month of March, we had around at least 10 to 15,000 migrants who came into the district, and they are at home doing absolutely nothing. They have absolutely no vision of what to do in the coming days, and the main sufferers are the families they had left back behind. I mean, this is very strange. I mean, one should be very happy if you have the whole family back during Corona time, but they are actually facing problems. They're facing a lot of poverty issues. They're facing what we can call a lot of hunger issues. I would call it hunger issues. So I would put ration into it, I would put food into it. They are facing health issues, they're facing sanitation issues, and they are facing hygiene issues. So these are some very burning issues that are being faced by the people who have come back from the cities. And if we do not, or if the corporate or the government does not act on it right now, we are in for a huge tsunami, I would say. We are in for a huge tsunami.
Sure.
And you know what? Basically, like we spoke to some villagers, and they were like, we were selling poultry. Now we can't sell it. So they had actually to go to the forest and set all the chicken free. So what is the second alternative for them? So how do we balance that? Can the corporate balance that? That is one thing that I need to ask. Second is that a lot of people have come back who had different skills. So maybe somebody was a, in a automotive mechanic. Maybe somebody was a construction worker, and maybe we had these thelawalas in cities who were working. But now, what is the condition that they are facing? Are they able to go back to that kind of work? No, they cannot do that. So, how do we tackle that? So, can the corporate sector, through their CSR, do something for them? Can they reskill these people? So, can we reskill that knowledge of things? Can they be brought back into the mainstream so that we at least have one problem of, uh, uh, not putting them into poverty?
Sure.
Can we do that? I mean, as a corporate, if like you are in corporate CR, so is that one angle that we can look at, that the corporates, they don't need to do much, but if they have that substantial population, can they look at reskilling? Can they look at avenues wherein they do need based and skill based activities and do an intake of these people?
Sure, Arpita ji. Let me tell you a little about this relationship. Why I had those few slides. Thing is, like, say, if you go to the times when जब हमारा आजादी का मूवमेंट चल रहा था, even that time also, if you see, it was a civil society movement where corporates were sporting the freedom movement. I can name Jamnalal Bajaj, Ghanshyam Das Birla, Tatas. They were all working with the government. That's where, when we have to have a movement, as you said, you need cooperation between the civil society and the corporate. And the
Absolutely.
politicians, the government must own it. That's where, even that time, you call anybody of them, those our big leaders, they were more of a social worker than really a politician. That's where we need to work on this now. How politicians can work more like a social worker, how corporates can come forward and work with the civil society, what technically we call trust deficit. There's a trust deficit. Before Corona, government had a law where they said only Section 8 companies can implement it. Then they had discontinued 20,000 NGOs, FCRA, and then they brought this whole legislation about more reports from the civil society. I think these are the issues which had a trust deficit between government, corporates, and the civil society. Now all the three needs to work together. I'm a chairman of a foundation called DNR Foundation. So there has been a problem in Mumbai and Patna. So Vedanta has given us money. Today we are distributing 6 lakh food packets. And also the Corona, the PPE kit, the mask, and the sanitizers. This is possible because the corporates have given us. Even Nudge Foundation, which is doing a big program through Give India, they have got more than 100 crores now from individual philanthropy from the corporate leaders towards the livelihoods. I think these are two issues, as you pointed out. One is the risk mitigation, which is going on now, and also livelihood. Livelihood at two areas. One thing is another 3-6 months, and I think to come to normal, it will take about 1 year. What do you think, since you work with these people, how are we going to address this whole problem of livelihood in the context where we are today? Because, already they have extended it by 2 weeks, three type of zones, the red zone, the orange zone, the green zone. So I think it's going on for time. But to come normal, what will really happen, Arpita ji? Can you just enlighten us on that? How we should tackle it?
Okay. I would again take it from the community perspective because that's where I'm coming from.
Sure.
Um, actually, if I put it very, what should I say? If I put it with a thumb, then it's not even 1 year that we are looking at, basically, that the corona is going to end and everything is going to be very nice. And,
Okay.
people can move about and do whatever they want, like the way they were doing earlier. So we are basically, even a US report says that we are basically giving this a 2 year period. So
Okay.
then 2 year is a very long period. And in that 2 year, uh, we need to utilize these 2 years so that the people who have come back, I very much doubt that they're going to go back. Now, I again would say that I do not criticize the government because the condition that villages were in, let's say, 10 years back or even 5 years back, villages have come up to a level. There have been a lot of activities that have gone on in the villages, and people have come up, they have set a particular standard for themselves. But are we going to be able to maintain that standard in these 2 years that are coming down? That is one question. The second thing that comes to my mind is, like I told in the told before also, that we really need to look at better skilling options. We need to find out more things that are economically viable and that can help these people. Say, for example, if we are talking about Section 8 companies being a part of the entire CSR imagery,
Okay.
uh, I feel we are also at that time leaving out a lot of people behind.
Okay.
So, because Section 8 company is something that cannot be started by everybody.
Okay.
So, are we at a point of time also saying that we are not going to be able to restructure the rural entrepreneurship uh, uh, areas in the villages? Because there would be people who would be wanting to become entrepreneurs now. छोटे छोटे businesses, छोटे छोटे काम, but they would want to, you know, push that. वो छोटे काम को भी they want to push that because now they are not having an option of again going back to the city.
Okay.
So how are we going to address that? Because what I understand is that you always talk about a trust deficit.
Yes.
You always talk about it. So where does that come from? Because if there is a trust deficit, then a lot of things in that line, in that chain, gets distorted. So how are we going to address that?
तो अर्पिता जी आप ये कह रहे हैं कि the normal which was a situation before corona, it will be a new normal?
It will be a new normal.
You will set
Absolutely.
standards again now. That means we
Absolutely.
have to re-energize ourselves,
Correct.
whether it's corporates, government, or the civil society, to address this problem in a different way. Like I personally feel what we need is also, first thing is capital is needed for this. Somebody has to finance all this.
Absolutely.
Definitely it can be from CSR or from the government or the PM fund. So somebody has to finance it. Second thing is we have to work for applied knowledge. Somebody has to give knowledge. Knowledge about agriculture, technology, social science, management, how to manage. And the third and the most important thing is policy. How do we address it? क्योंकि you are saying अभी भी people don't believe us. Like जब एकदम lockdown announce किया तो lot of people came on the way. They wanted to go back to their home. That means कहीं ना कहीं पे कुछ गड़बड़ है. The गड़बड़ which we don't know actually. To
True.
address this, how do we organize ourselves? As a, because you have been working with communities, you work with so many people, you have been working with the women in the villages, with the youth. So how do we address this problem at this point of time?
Uh, One, of course, like you said, that we need government intervention in this. We seriously need government intervention, but more so, we need the intervention of NGOs because, uh, the feeling that people in the rural areas have is that सरकार से पैसा तो आता है, लेकिन वो पैसा हम तक आते आते पता नहीं कहाँ चला जाता है.
Yeah, this there.
This is a very big thing that is happening. और ये हमेशा से होता है. I'm not blaming anybody, पर ये होता है.
जी.
Funds do not reach the right place. Funds do not reach the right people. The right objectives are not taken care of. So if I want to construct a toilet, you cannot force me to construct a pond.
Yes.
Right? You cannot do that. So even what the government wants to do needs to be need based. It needs to be assessed by the villagers that this is what we want to do. This is the kind of work we want in the village to happen so that it enhances our lifestyle, it enhances our livelihood. And could you please do it for us? So that is one angle. Second is that NGOs have, in a way, developed a kind of rapport with villages. Many NGOs, they have developed a rapport with villages. Why? Because they are working at ground level. They are understanding the issues of the villages. So what I feel is that when we are talking of this unity in work, so that we can enhance the livelihoods and lives of people, then the government should see that all its officers are working in a very proper manner. And if there is a particular civil society which is working in that area, that civil society should be facilitated by all the government machinery, which includes right down to the BDO level, that if I have a problem as a civil society in that village, the BDO would come and help me out.
Sure.
The panchayat system should be managed in such a manner that it should understand why that particular civil society is there, for what it is there, and how it is going to help in the enhancement of livelihoods of the people of that place. So we need that dialogue with the village first. We need that dialogue with the civil society and government first. And then I feel that we can come to a conclusion कि हाँ इनको ये चीज की जरूरत है तो हम इस चीज को करते हैं.
अर्पिता जी, इसके अलावा मुझे ये भी लगता है कि what another thing we need is also innovation, क्योंकि अब इससे न्यू नॉर्मल और वो पहले वाली स्थिति तो रही नहीं. तो we need to understand these things in an innovative way, how best we can address these things, because one thing is very sure, revenue of lot of companies is going to go down. And government has already said to give money to PM Care Fund. So CSR money is also going to go down. I think that's where everybody needs to come out with new innovation. We also need to come up with new startups and also boost our MSMEs also, because they are in a bad shape. Over half of their labor has gone down. When they will come, how do they have to address their cash problems? कि working capital कहाँ से आएगी? So I think these are some of the problems which even MSME will be addressing. So what happens here? Two things become to me very important. One thing is talking in terms of contribution. कि जो आपके programs and projects, talking about contribution to these programs, and also about new projects. How do we come in with new projects which can address all these issues? First thing is, as you said, let's understand them, let's work on them, then let's implement them.
And there's another point that I would like to make out here. We can actually leverage the SMEs over here. We can actually leverage the SMEs in the sense that they can spell out requirements for providing livelihood. So that way the SMEs also start functioning. We can leverage, let's say, what we call local produce. We can leverage local produce through SMEs, or we can have entrepreneurs, or we can have these village hearts. We can have a lot of innovative things going in the village through which the villagers can actually leverage their products, they can leverage their produce, they can leverage their poultry, and SMEs can play a role in the supply chain. They can come forward and play a role in the supply chain.
Sure. I think we are already at 4:34. Uh, if there are questions, should we start taking up questions? I have one.
Yes, sir.
Apurva ji, yes. Should I read the question?
Yeah, please do
Yes, sir.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
I am a wholesale fish seller in India and now was doing business from my counter. But with the COVID-19 scenario, the business got hampered and also personally health risk chances are increasing. I'm thinking of going for e-commerce platform dedicated to fish in my city initially. My question is whether I can leverage profit enough to run this business in a new model and whether there is any possibility of any loans or support from government, corporates, MSME department, state, central. He's asking about his e-commerce in fish, which was doing from counter. Can he continue it with in the new scenario, and how can he do that?
Uh, can I answer this?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
try, then I'll try.
Yeah, yeah. You have to support me in this. Okay. See, when you are talking about profit, then profit is of course demand based. That is one thing.
Okay.
So more your demand, the more you will have your profit. But taking it up from that point of view, post COVID, when we are talking about e-platforms, one thing that we need to be very, very sure of is how uh, what healthy products we are giving and how hygienically we are giving them, because hygiene has become a very hypersensitive issue right now. So even what we will not buy from a roadside person, we can take from a e-commerce platform, provided that that person has you know done things very hygienically, and a lot of sanitation has been uh, involved in that process. So people will buy on e-commerce platform, but this one liner, what I feel is that we need to be very hygiene conscious. One, we need to understand the mood of the people. We also need to project our products in such a manner that uh, people will not feel that they're being fleeced off. So we cannot really keep it at a very high price. And once we start doing that, we can start with a dry run, see how we are doing, how well we are doing. Instead of starting at one go, we can always do a dry run and see where we are lacking. So wherever we are lacking, we can put in that extra bit, and then I think we can slowly take it up from there.
I would like to add that KCM Connect, it can itself help them with all the schemes which government is already implementing or which will come on their way. So I think for e-commerce platform, please be in touch with KCM Connect and let's find out answers to your questions in the time. They will
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your nice approach to our KCM Connect. And it's very interesting question to start with.
Yes.
Now we have another question coming from Abhishek Dattaji. He is from Indian Assembly of Youth. Abhishek ji, please come up with your question, sir. Abhishek ji. Hello. Okay. As Mr. Abhishek is not audible right now, we can move on to another question coming from Mr. Sanjay Prasad. We don't know from where he is asking questions. So please, Sanjay ji, introduce yourself so that our guests can know who you are and from where you are asking questions.
Can I start? There's a question on this thing from Mr. Gagan Pal Singh. Since many
Yeah.
corporates have put their CSR funding in PM Care, currently CSR programs are on hold. What will happen to small NGOs working in rural sector? Uh, See, what is Gaganpal? That's where role of CSR leader comes in. CSR leaders have to come in front now and come out with new programs. At present, they're holding it, and also government should come out with PM Care Fund. There has to have a connect or a flow of funds to the NGOs, especially the smaller ones. As I mentioned, Give India, they have a CSR fund of around 100 crores, which has come basically for Corona. I think these are the type of platforms where they should give and help NGOs to connect with CSR funds. This is
Okay, sir. Sir, we have another question coming from Devapriti Chakraborty.
okay.
Devapriti, go ahead with your question. Hello. Okay, we have a question from Mr. Abhishek. How do you ensure the effective flourishment and implementation of CSR funding and their fulfillment of objectives through NGOs?
That's why I showed those slides also. Idea was that even corporates they cannot do without NGOs. The spirit, that's why I call it spirit. यानी मतलब spirit is in Hindi आत्मा. जो ये CSR program की जो पूरी आत्मा थी, that was practically working with the NGOs because they have the grassroots connect. That's what has to be revived again. And corporates, government, they should work through the NGOs with them, taking everybody into. That's why I used word civil society. It's media. So, Pitaji, I think when you talk about civil society, we talk about media.
Absolutely. We talk media, we talk academic, educational institutions also. They can contribute in a very, very big way.
So everybody has to come together, then only we'll be able to solve this. Prakash is also asking a similar question. He says he's into development consulting. I think we all have to come together, Prakash. It cannot be done by one person. But at the same time, we also need to form a front. We should look like one. That's why I was talking about trust deficit. कुछ लोग हम पे विश्वास नहीं करते हैं. हमें ये पैदा करना पड़ेगा कि people start trusting you. अर्पिता जी, आप इस पे क्या बोलेंगे?
Yes, this is very important because coming from the kind of trust problems people have in villages, I think we really need to work on that. और वो मुश्किल भी नहीं है. Once we show the right concern at the right place and we do the right thing with the right thought, I don't think that will be a problem. But like we say कि CSR को और enhance करने के लिए हमें बिल्कुल बहुत ज़रूरी है कि corporate की thinking, NGOs की thinking बिल्कुल एक लेवल पे होना चाहिए, सेम लेवल पे होना चाहिए. हम लोगों को इस चीज को बहुत अच्छे से समझ के डिस्कस करके करना चाहिए. बिकॉज if corporates and NGOs come together, it is then very easy to convince the government.
Okay, sure. Definitely.
NGO से जुड़ी हुई और एक सवाल है. ये मृत्युंजय भट्टाचार्य ने पूछा है. What do you suggest if any NGO want to build an ecosystem in rural area for generating micro entrepreneur or employment, and how you can help it in this endeavor?
Yes, it's a very good idea.
Yeah.
That's where we talked about livelihoods. That's what the solution is. To have two things. One thing is startups and innovations in a way that they can solve these problems. I think we need to work on this, and KCM Connect and people like us who have a little or who have been in a leadership position, we need to help them. And also I see a question there. It says that the status of these amendments. Amendments, government had asked for comments till 20th April. The date is over. I hope by 31st May, they will come out with the notification. What it will be, we have no idea. There's another question from Tanmay Kulshrestha. Hello, Upadhyay sir. I am Arpita ma'am. I have been patent registered and looking for PM Mudra Yojana government funding for startup. Can we share some knowledge on this? I approached bank, but they told these are unsecured loans and bank avoid giving these loans, and on pressure give these loans to known people who say surely repay. If this scenario, then how will innovation work? See, Tanmay, we need to work on this. That's where there is a disconnect. इस disconnect पे हमें काम करना होगा. We'll have to work on this and we will have to convince those people. That's why I said we will have to come together. That's why Arpita is with us. Community, corporate, and we all work together in this direction. That's the only solution. Arpita ji?
Actually, yes, that's the only solution. I mean, and we have to take it forward as it comes. मुश्किलें बहुत आएंगी, अड़चनें तो बहुत आएंगी. But we have to maybe think around it. If one thing doesn't work out, then we have to approach it from a second angle. But if there is a provision from the government that you can take loans and ये मुद्रा लोन लेके आप काम शुरू कर सकते हैं और बैंक आपको नहीं दे रही है, तो please complain, please file a complaint on this so that it is taken care of by the concerned government.
Yes, Rajiv ji, should we take another question? I think.
Yeah, Mr. Sanjay Prasad with his question. Sanjay ji?
Yes, can you hear me all?
Yes.
Please ask your
Thank,
question.
thank you, Mr. Upadhyay, and thank you, Arpita, for such a wonderful conversation sharing with us. As my question was read by you, the first question, I am a fish seller in the market, and the market was it is composed of so many shops in the market, but because of the COVID situation, the whole market is closed till now. And with me, there are some 16 workers working with me in my business.
Okay.
So we are talking about innovations, and as you told that we have to also think about innovation, how to run this in a post-COVID scenario. And then this innovative idea come to my mind: why can't I go e-commerce mode
Yes.
with my fish? Because there is no other way. I have to go there for myself and for the workers whom they're dependent upon me. So that's why, though I have the business, but I don't have the necessary infrastructure which is needed for the e-commerce platform and the knowledge which is required. So that is why I am looking for this sort of support, whether I can get some infrastructure support in the form of loan or something, or knowledge in this regard, or skill in this regard, so that I can continue with this, my innovative idea.
Definitely, Sanjay, you have a very good idea. That's why I said KCM Connect. Rajiv ji, you are listening? He has to help you. Can we have next question?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mr. Maharshi Dave with his question. Dave ji?
Yeah. Can you hear me on?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Sir, so
Yes, we are
basically,
listening.
yeah. So basically, my question was for the same, that the Companies Act amendment, which has been tabled in the Lok Sabha, and I personally, I'm a director of a Section 8 non-profit company, and we are working in the field of CSR since 2015.
Okay.
So our registration is from 2015, and we have been facilitating many corporates, including Jubilee and many MNCs, also PSUs, NTPC, and everyone. And we are into agriculture and farmers empowerment and animal husbandry. Although I'm not very much pro, although it is benefiting my company, the amendment, but still I'm not that much pro, because I know that there are many NGOs in the rural sector who have got a very good connect, and they should not be kept out of this, reach of CSR. So my first question was that you already answered, that by 31st, I think we will be having a notification.
Yeah, most probably.
Regarding this thing.
Yes.
Most probably. Yes, sir. So my next question was that how can we approach the government, or how can we tell them to link the Manrega? Also, the opposition parties have reflected the thoughts on that. That the many, and Arpita ji also reflected that the laborers who have migrated back, the reverse migration, now there is a very less chance that they will be soon coming back to the cities for looking for employment.
Yes.
So what we can think of that to give them rural employment. I think agriculture sector is such a big sector in our country that it can absorb any number of persons that it wants if it is handled perfectly. So under what platform or how we can we raise our voice to government to link the Manrega wages to this agriculture laborers, so that the farmers also get benefited and the laborers also get the employment.
I think it's already happening. Especially, I have knowledge about Rajasthan, where government is already doing. Like last time, they had 60,000 laborers in Manrega. Now, at the same spot, they have 150,000. So, a lot of people are joining it, and that's a solution, and we must advocate it. I think Abhishek is there. Abhishek?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Abhishek.
I have reconnected from my phone now because I think too much of technology also brings a lot of confusion.
Yeah, but your room is looking very beautiful. Abhishek,
is it?
अच्छा लग रहा है यार. Beautiful place.
That's why. Yeah, that's a 24/7 room where we sleep and eat nowadays. Okay. That's the bedroom. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Dr. Upadhyay, I was listening to you and Dr. Sutradhar as well. So maybe I was not able to complete my sentence, but I said my question one. Being an entrepreneur, I am also an environmentalist as well as a socio-environmentalist. And I'm currently the elected chairman of one organization called Indian Assembly of Youth, which is actually in inception since 1955. Okay. And the same has been working in very, very deep tier 3 and tier 4 cities of India in rural development as well as the social development, and rural development is concerned by the United Nations objectives.
Okay.
Of course, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. So the organization in late 90s and early 2000s have never been established into a way that, when e-commerce era and website and, internet on these things were propagated. But then now, going back to my question, flourishment of these corporate responsibilities and, the social responsibilities, which is inbuilt with the small and medium entrepreneurs as well as the big corporates and Section A companies in all the industry and trades. How do you see the motivation from the youth, whether it's rural or urban, connecting with these kind of NGOs like ours and people who are actually facilitating these support services apart from commercial interest?
Abhishek, let me tell you, I find a lot of youth, they are much, much better than us.
True.
Especially our generation, what has happened, we were struggling. जिसे कहते हैं ना, हमारी जो लड़ाई थी वो रोटी कपड़ा मकान की थी.
जी.
This generation doesn't have to fight for roti kapda makan.
Sure.
They have. If you can motivate them, I was a mentor. I work with a lot of youth. Like I mentored a group called Socio Story. These are young people. They don't have money also, but they are doing excellent job. So I think if you can properly monitor this new generation, that's much, much better than our generation. And they also have got these emotions towards social work or social well-being. It's only how we package it.
Yes.
It looks attractive to them. जिसे वो हिंदी में कहते हैं ना कि भावनाओं को आपको छेड़ना पड़ेगा.
Exactly.
Really pull that string. It works. And lot of youth are doing very good work.
Sure.
The future is very bright. We need to reconnect, re-energize, and re-strategize.
I think that's,
I'll just put in a word over here, taking from what Shamendra said. Urban youth, of course, we understand their trends and we need to get down to the level to understand their trends and we can take it up. It's not so difficult to convince an urban youth. But if you are talking about a rural youth also, is it?
Yes,
Are you talking about the rural youth also?
rural youth is always ready, but my point was, how do we connect the motivation between the urban
Correct.
youth down towards the rural bits?
Rural youth. So I'll give you a very small example. When I was working in IIM Ranchi, we had this program for rural immersion. Okay. So in this program, what we used to do was once a year, we would take all the students to a village and we would tell them to make friends with the villages. ऐसे ही normally, मतलब आप जाओ दोस्ती करो बात करो, ठीक है? और उस हिसाब में और ये चीज आप एक्चुअली अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ अपने यूथ के साथ को लेके कर सकते हो. So when you go to this village, you mix with the people, you stay there for a week. Let's say you stay put over there for a week. You understand their issues. So villages के साथ village में प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है ना, वो आपसे एक बार में खुलते नहीं है. उनको थोड़ा टाइम लगता है खुलने में. If you have noticed, because you do work with the rural people, so we cannot say कि they are our best friends from day one. So that needs a lot of motivation from our side to motivate them to like us. Okay. So once we have them, they start coming up with their own issues कि ये हमारे problems है. बड़े छोटे छोटे problems होंगे पर उनके लिए वो बहुत बड़े problems हो सकते हैं. So then what you do is, or what we used to do is, that we used to tell our youth that you draw up a strategy. You draw up a strategy wherein you can help these people spending the minimum amount. Spending the minimum amount. Let it be a very collective effort on part of the village youth to do whatever you are strategizing in a very good manner. So इससे क्या होता है, once that strategy takes place and once that action is actionated, you know, these people then go into a hand holding mode. तो आप hand holding mode में एक month के लिए चले जाओ and things start moving. So it is a very plus point for the urban youth कि हमने कुछ किया और वो चीज सफल हो गया.
Right.
So that way that connect works very well. That connect works very well.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we can take that offline with both of you along with the Rajiv from KCM, because he's been into my network for a long time. We know each other from very, very long time, over 2 decades now. So I think we can really get back and we can share into our networks, and we can definitely speak offline after the webinar due course of time.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
एक आखिरी क्वेश्चन हम ले लेते हैं प्रकाश जी से. प्रकाश जी, प्लीज आस्क योर क्वेश्चन. If you are on the line, please ask your question. It would be the last question that we are going to take. I think he is facing some technical problem. Lakshmi ji, can you ask your question?
Yeah, hi, this is Lakshman. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, sure.
I'm basically working with an NGO in central tribal region of Chhattisgarh and Maharashtra. So, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
As you people already have mentioned that the union government has mandated for all the companies that the contributions which are made to the PM CARES Fund, only those contributions are going to be exempted as their CSR contributions. Other than that, the contribution which are made to other state level or district level funds are also not to be considered. So, don't you think that this will reduce already very low funds available for the NGOs which are already having good connect with the tribal people? The major sufferer of this pandemic are the 30 crore tribal and rural people who are the migrant, who have been working in this major red zone hotspots, and will be staying at their villages for next 1 year, and will have no means for their livelihoods. So don't you think that the major point is to do the policy advocacy with the government that they cannot see. Government also is trying their best to reach to all the needy people and to the most interior people. But there are already many CSOs, many government, many non-government organizations which have reach, which can do good. So don't you think that first they are to be approached uh, uh, to facilitate that a good level of partnership and collaboration is made with the CSOs, especially for the most backward tribal regions?
Thank you, Lakshman ji. Very nice question. Yahi exactly, that's what I was telling. The government, especially like say PM Care Funds, we have around 7,800 crores rupees already given by the corporates. I'm not talking about the other money. I think government needs to work out a program where they can work with CSOs in remote tribal areas where government doesn't have a direct reach. They must do that. And that's how it should be done.
Yes,
Not
because
even
we have also been receiving CSR funding from Axis Bank Foundation, and
Yes.
recently they have reduced our next year's budget by 80 lakhs rupees because their margins and their revenue is getting lower. So in these situations, I think government should reconsider their strategy of marginalizing the CSOs.
Definitely. There's no doubt about it. What you are saying, there's no doubt about it. We need to, that's why when I was talking about 3 pillars, ना मैंने कहा कि एक capital है पैसा, दूसरा knowledge है, तीसरा I said policy. That's what I mean by policy. Policy needs a revisit and it must be in favor of what you are saying. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay,
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Sutradhar, for your lovely comments and knowledges that you have shared with us in this webinar. We will be obliged to you, and we are looking forward for more seminars or more sessions with you people. And please join us, everyone. Till then, we have to sign off for the day. Tomorrow we'll meet again for another webinar session involving 2 other expert panelists. Till then, stay home, stay safe from the corona.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you so much.
madam.
Thank you,
Thank you.
KCM. Thank you.